this one could be something because there's fatties in here.
Need more time.
Nice pixelating mobs. Ooh.
The truth burns.
Okay. Okay, we don't have to go that much further, and we got the the shrine. We're at 48. Very nice. Is this also? No, that's good.
Not ready yet. The truth burns you.
Okay, the question is, can we find another blue maybe?
Needs more time.
Okay, come on. Little flies. Come. Okay, blues again.
Must wait longer.
Nice.
Your death comes. Not ready yet.
Oh, nice.
Needs more time. Need more time. The truth burns you.
Wow, beautiful. Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about. Now we're ahead of the game. We have 77. Can we have anybody else join us? Okay, we have power there.
Need more time.
Okay, so let's go this way then. You guys must come here. Okay, are we recording? We are. Okay.
I cannot do that.
Yes, come on down, blues. Ouch.
Needs more time. You die.
Come on.
Needs more time.
Hey, come on, boys.
The spirits aid me.
Okay, so stop. Let's not attack. Let's find another elite. Oh boy, this is gonna be juicy. Okay, another yellow.
Not ready yet. Need more time. Your death comes.
Oh yes, baby.
I cannot do that.
Oh, he's shielding. Oh crap, man! I should have taken a look at that better.
Needs more time.
Okay, we have this guy. Oh, and we have a conduit though. Okay. Well, that's a good thing. Good, this could be a one floor freaking everything.
Not ready yet. Needs more time.
Do you see that enemy over there? Let us cleanse it from this land.
Need more time.
Come on, boys.
Not ready yet.
Oh yeah. Everybody get in here.
Need more time.
I strike at
Okay,
your
one
heart.
yellow down. Okay, down.
Needs more
Spirits,
time.
aid me.
Not ready yet.
Okay.
The way opens before me.
Okay, we don't want to. Hey, yo.
Needs more
My
time.
strike is true.
We don't want to overdo it. How many we got here?
Need more time.
Don't want to overdo it because we need to go backwards as well. But I wonder. Okay, you guys can come here. If we can do this, maybe.
I must wait longer.
Because we are ahead of the game. Let's just get some trash.
Not ready yet. Need more time. Needs more time.
4. It's okay. Let's get this trash in here.
Need more time.
$86. Because we should.
Ready yet. Needs more time.
Be able to spawn the boss in the other. Oh my gosh, can we get this please?
Not ready yet.
Okay. We should be able to do this then.
Need more time.
Come on. Everybody
Needs
come
more
on
time.
in. Good.
I strike at your heart.
We
Need
should.
more time.
Hey, where the hell did he go? Okay, do not spawn the boss here. Beautiful. This should be technically a clear.
Needs more time.
Okay? As long as we can spawn the boss here. Oh, we definitely most likely can. And as long as the boss is not a,
Not ready
you
yet.
know, just like a horrible multi-target boss. As long as he's a single target, I
Need more
think
time.
we're good. I think.
The Rift Guardian has arrived.
What do we have? Oh, wow.
I cannot do that.
Okay, I think we're Gucci.
Needs more time.
Mm-hmm.
must wait longer.
By the way, how much we got? Oh yeah.
Not ready yet.
Yeah, we still need to despawn the idiots that spawn. Oh.
I cannot do that. Need more time. I must wait longer. Needs more time.
Where are we gonna go? Probably to the entrance, right?
Not ready yet. Needs more time. I am hurt.
Ouch.
Closing in. Raise your weapon.
Not ready yet.
Okay.
Need more time. Not ready yet.
There we go. Woo! Congratulations. See? How easy was that? No dream. Legacy of Nightmare Darts. Awesome. Let's check it out. Alright, what can we upgrade? Well, we only have what? 2 150 gems? Just in general. What should we do? Which one? Stricken, Enforcer for pets. We have Simplicities and Bane of the Trapped. Or should we get a guaranteed? But I think that that's a waste a little bit. A guaranteed on Molten Wildebeest. I think we should maybe go with the Stricken one. Or in general. We could potentially get a 150 if we do this. Alright, let's do this one. Of
I
course.
need to go back.
Oh, wow. Only one. That's okay.
My spirit grows vast.
Here we go. How did we do? Oh, let's do this. All right, let's check it out. This was, wait, no, this was better. Um, it was. This was better than our zombie bears push, which, granted, was the first one that we did. Wow, 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 wow. Okay. Well, that was a significantly good rift, though. I mean, no lie, right? That was a very good rift. But it was not even a dream. But anyway, so far, we have done a 150. This was our first one at 1600 Paragon with zombie bears. Yep. Then we did regular spiders, a 150 at 2000 Paragon. Then we did Mundanugu not too long ago with close to 2200 Paragon. And now we did the No Peace set, which I'm the only one so far that did the No Peace set. Ooh, look at this guy. 5k Paragon, jeez Louise. And he only did a 145, but I guess in 7 minutes. Very nice. And we are the first to do the No Peace, the 6 set No Peace. Or, sorry, not the 6 set No Peace. What am I talking about? The no 6-piece set. Legacy of Nightmare. Anyways, we will talk about this in a second, okay? I just want to take a few screenshots. And you know what? Since this is the overall, this is also kind of cool. Overall, I think I increased my time, right? Did I increase my, or yeah, I increased my rank, which is very nice. Awesome. Could I have been the first guy? Maybe. If we took it a little earlier and we didn't go as far as we did to drag the butcher, like, because we went very far. Like, we don't have to go that far. But we went far just on the off chance that the summoned guys from the pylon decided to follow us. But anyways, y'all, let's talk about the build. So, what is this? This is the Legacy of Nightmare build with darts. Okay, there are 2 variations. However, for darts specifically, you are going to be using the Litany of the Undaunted and the Wailing Host, and you're not going to be using the Legacy of Dreams gem. You're not. And that is because, in reality, there's not much of a good damage ring or amulet that you could put on here. Besides possibly, like, I mean, yeah, not really. And I'll explain why in just a second. But anyways, let's go through the gear. Alright, so you have Dagger of Darts, which is obviously a must. Now you can put this into the cube if you want to go with a Sacred Harvester version, because sometimes people go with Sacred Harvester as the secondary choice, right, in your cube, or they go with Echoing Fury, which I did. But we'll talk about why and all that good stuff in just a second. So Dagger of Darts, you probably want to primify this, and you definitely want attack speed on it, for sure. That's a bare minimum. We're also rocking Shikranis, because we do want to deal extra damage while we're in Spirit Walk, and as you saw throughout the Rift, we were timing our Spirit Walk to occur on the poison cycle of Convention of the Elements. I also, let's keep going. We also need to wear Carnevil, or we need to wear Mask of Jerem, one or the other. Mask of Jerem obviously has a big range that it could roll, and it's kind of hard to get a nice one. So most likely you're also going to be rocking Carnevil because it doesn't have any, ranges. Uh, you want to also go with Aquila because this is a huge damage reduction for you. You pretty much need to wear Depth Diggers as well. So by the way, so far this is a must. Depth Diggers is also a must because it literally doubles your damage. I went with Boots of Disregard. I didn't even roll anything. I didn't even roll it like with to higher intelligence or anything really. And this helps out with sustain. It's not a big deal. Usually you would go with where are those bad boys with some ice climbers, okay? But because of the altar gives you immunity to freeze and immobilize. It gives you immunity to all crowd control. So with the altar, activated, it would be like a lost call or like kind of like a waste of an item slot. While getting 40,000 life regen per second is pretty darn good. If you stand still, 40,000 life per second is not bad at all. So, and you actually get more because you have like life per second from your Paragon. You won't have any on gear, but like for example, the boots themselves even come with regenerate 7,168 life per second, right? So you automatically get like, almost 50k, right, life per second. We'll check that in the stats in just a sec. Homing pads here, you don't need these. You would actually probably prefer, if you can, find a nice pair of Pauldrons of the Skeleton King. This is like a mini cheat death, okay? It's not like the same cheat death that your follower might give you or like Spirit Vessel, right? But this mini cheat death helps out, but you will definitely want a good roll on them, right? And I didn't have a perfect roll, so that's why I went with these because I really wanted area damage. Stone Gauntlets, these guys keep you alive, pretty much. This armor buff is humongous. And the reason that we could wear these, again, back in the day you would wear Ice Climbers with these to negate the bad effect of the lowering your movement speed and attack speed. But again, the altar gets rid of all control impairing effects. So your attack speed is not lowered and your movement speed will not be lowered either. But you get 250% armor after you're hit 5 times, which is huge. Then we're also wearing Lakumbas. This is another form of damage reduction. And obviously we are wearing Litany of the Undaunted, the Wailing Host. I am also wearing the Witching Hour. And I went for the Eye of Vetlich. I love the Eye of Vetlich, and I don't know where else I would necessarily put it, or like wear it. Like where else would I wear this besides early on when you're not really that tanky. But trust me, the Eye of Vetlich is a great defensive option, and I found like an amazing one here. Obviously, it has vitality on it, but I'm not too worried because we're still at 5k, so I'm missing vitality somewhere for sure. And then, like I already mentioned in the cube, people either go with the Sacred Harvester, which is a very nice and safe, consistent playstyle, while Echoing Fury is kind of like a bursty playstyle, and it depends on how quickly you can kill your first mobs, because the amount that it takes from full health, is kind of long in a 150. So I was not benefiting from this all the time, but when it did start happening, it does speed it up. So I opted out for burst damage versus consistent damage. Also, the Sacred Harvester not only does, gives you a little bit more extra damage because it's 15% extra intelligence, but it also gives you extra defense, right, for Lakumbas by using Soul Harvest. This is all, again, a must. And then Convention of Elements, because again, look at what options we have. We would have Convention of Elements for damage. We could take any of the immunity amulets if we wanted to, but that's only defense. That's not damage. Let's see what else. I'm trying to look here. We don't need Obsidian for anything. Oculus we get from our follower, which you'll see in a sec. Let's see. We are using Haunt, so you could get Rachel's Ring of Larceny for the movement speed, but again, it's not for any damage. Ring of Emptiness does not work with fetish darts. Or just like your fetishes or your fetish darts. So pretty much this is useless. We don't need a Ring of Royal Grandeur. The other thing is, though, would be Squirt's Necklace. Now, if you really wanted to, you might as well just put on a Squirt's Necklace instead of something like an Eye of Eldritch. But really, Legacy of Nightmare is the only time that really you would, one of the only times, that you get to kind of fool around and have fun and choose, for example, either an immunity amulet or an Eye of Eldritch. And the reason I say that is because Squirts, unless if you have a shield pylon, you will not be able to keep it up. And if you can't keep it up, meaning you stay undamaged, right? If you can't stay undamaged, then you have not only no damage bonus, but you're at a permanent loss because your toughness gets split in half because you take double damage. Okay? Or damage increases taken by up to 50%. Okay? So you take 50% more damage. I mean, and that's pretty much the majority. Okay? The only time that you're ever going to really be able to use Squirts effectively is if you either run a Gizzard Gem, which we will talk about the gems in just a sec as well, which we obviously are not, or if you have a shield pylon. Other than that, it's completely useless. Stone of Jordan doesn't actually give you elemental damage, contrary to popular belief. The ring itself, when you equip it, has an elemental damage roll, but the effect does not have anything to do with that. Flavor of Time, your follower already wears it. Don't need this, don't need this. Now, I guess what you can do if you wanted even more tankiness would be Unity. But again, we're trying to find something that would increase our damage. Because as you guys saw, the damage is where, this lacks. Because Legacy of Nightmare in general, has smaller damage bonuses than all of the other, Witch Doctor sets. The green ones. So yeah, there's nothing really in here, which pretty much forces us to take Litany of the Undaunted and the Wailing Host instead of rocking the Legacy of Dreams gem, which again would actually have to take the spot of one of your other gems. And now let's take a look at the gems. They are almost irreplaceable, meaning you cannot switch out any of them. First one, Simplicity Strength. This is a separate and completely standalone damage bonus. So if you're at 150 like I am, you double your damage. So this is like a Traveler's Pledge in of itself for damage wise. Okay, Simplicity Strength. This applies to your fetishes darts as well, so no worries. It also heals you, but that's a whatever thing. Okay. Next that you need is Enforcer. Not necessarily that your pets would die. I mean, maybe, because fetishes are kind of like little and weak. But it's a huge damage bonus as well. And as you can see, there's no Trapped. No Bane of the Trapped. We have to rock Bane of the Stricken specifically for the boss. Of course, that's pretty much what it's for. But yeah, we need Stricken for the boss, and there's not a better alternative. I mean, it's going to take a while for the boss if you don't do this. So, obviously ours is now 150, 146, and this is 145, as you saw when I was upgrading it. So yeah, we're not worried about crowd controlling monsters because we're not running trapped. We don't care about being as far away from monsters as possible because we're not running Zays. Um, I would love to, like, if there was a possibility, like some of the seasons had like an extra, like a fourth gem that you could use. I would love to have used Pain Enhancer for the crazy attack speed that we would get. But I would even like go this over Trapped or something, if I had a choice for a fourth gem. I would love to use this instead of Stricken if I could, because the Rift itself, the trash mobs, would have been so crazy. And why is it? Because attack speed is like literally double dipping, okay, your damage. Because attack speed on darts, which is just like you would play Zuni, is a separate standalone multiplier as a stat itself. So that's one form of damage. And then your damage also is based on how often you hit with your darts. And your darts hit... Oh, I can't even show you because I don't have any fetishes out right now. And your darts... your fetish's darts attack at the speed of your darts. So the faster you can attack, the more damage you do, the quicker you stack Stricken. The more attacks you can do inside your conventional element cycle. And it's standalone multiplier. So let's go over some of this stuff. Oh, and by the way, let's go over our skills. So you need Poison Dart. I would go with Spine Dart because we are rocking Aquila, right? Aquila, which wants our mana to be topped off as often as possible. Not that we really use mana, because the only mana spender we have is Fionado. But this is our main attack, and our fetishes, obviously based on this little thing. The 10 fetishes closest to you will shoot a powerful poison dart every time you do, and they deal 500% extra damage. And the darts that your fetishes actually throw or shoot are these guys right here. Headhunters. So the fetishes that shoot darts actually are doing 130% of your weapon damage as poison. That's why you actually take poison elemental damage, not physical, which is your rune, okay? No matter what rune you select on your bar, the fetish darts are always going to be poison. Interesting, right? Yeah. So no need to go poison. You do not need to go snake to the face. And you don't need to go splinters. And you don't need to go without a rune either. You could select any rune because your fetish darts are always going to be poison from this rune. Where is it? And you don't need Fetish Army on your bar either. But this rune is the Headhunter rune, is the one that is applied when your fetishes shoot darts. But let's keep going. Next, we have Summon Zombie Dogs, Leeching Beasts. Alright, we need some form of sustain because our 4% healing that we get from Simplicity Strength is just simply not enough. And neither is it from our Boots of Disregard that give us life per second while standing still. So we need some kind of recovery. And Leeching Beast is amazing because if you have 3 dogs, for example, and they each attack with your life on hit, you're getting more than like 100k life per second. Let's pretend that they attack once a second. You'd be getting over 100,000 life each time. The only time that this would be, let's say, interrupted was if they, for example, got frozen or stunned or knocked back, right? That's when you get less regen, right? Less sustain. Next, we have Horrify, Frightening Aspect. This is, again, a little bit for crowd control because you can interrupt enemies midway through their attacks if you can, horrify them. But also, great additional armor boost. And this is just on demand, meaning if your Stone Gauntlets aren't up, for example, on the Rift Guardian or something, you can, and that first armor buff is the best one, right? Same with Soul Harvest. This is all for the damage reduction, for the armor and for the damage reduction that we get from Lakumba's So with 5 stacks, for example, if you don't go with the Sacred Harvester route and go with Echoing Fury like I did in the cube, then you get what's called 50% armor, which is huge. So you always want to keep this up at all times, as well as get a nice Lakumbas. This is the best one I could find in this season. I wish mine was like, primal or something, but getting that at least 1 stack is huge. So for us, we're going to get 70% damage reduction because we have 5 stacks, right? Because 2 additional percent per stack. If you're going with Sacred Harvester, by the way, here, you're going to get 80% damage reduction, and you get 100% armor from Soul Harvest, Languish, okay? Soul to Waste is probably better for well, for sure it's better for speeds, but you definitely want this armor. This armor is huge. Again, the Wish Doctor always lacks defense, especially for dart builds, because you pretty much have to roll off so many stats to maximize your damage, and I'll explain that as well in just a sec. Next, we have Pyranado, which is our best grouping skill. And as you saw throughout the Rift, we don't use this as often as others sometimes do, so I'll explain why in a second. And finally, we went with Jaunt, Spirit Walk. I'm also a huge advocate for Severance for the speed, but in 150s, I think the 3rd second is better, because the speed actually doesn't allow the mobs to keep up with you. If you're too fast, they don't want to follow, they don't want to keep up, because they don't know where you went. You're too far away from the screen, so you're going to have to be cutting them anyway. So you might as well go with Jaunt, get extra protection for that extra second, and extra damage for that extra second, because we are rocking Shikranis, okay? By the way, so yes, Shikranis, every time that you're in Spirit Walk, right, you get pretty much double damage as well. Now, this does get lumped in with things like Pierce the Veil, but we'll talk about that as well in just a sec. And this is where we come to this kind of unorthodox combination. A lot of people would definitely... So you need Fetish Sycophants, okay? Because these are the fetishes that you generate, right? Because we do not have Fetish Sycophants... we don't have a Fetish Army on our skill bar. So we're going to rely on these 15 for 10 out of those 15 to be attacking using darts. By the way, yeah, so this, how many can they, does it say? No, it doesn't even say on this tooltip. But yes, this can summon up to 15 fetishes, okay? So 5 of them are going to be using their little daggers to stab enemies, and 10 of them are going to be shooting darts. The ones that are closest to you are going to be shooting darts just like you are, right? And the guys that are attacking with the daggers are barely doing any damage, okay? Because they're not getting any of the multipliers, okay? But the dart ones are. They're getting the huge dart multipliers. So this is a must. People also definitely go with Confidence Ritual, because why not, right? This is a great skill. By the way, this is a standalone multiplier, so nothing else gets, added to this category. Swampland Attunement is almost a no-brainer for 150s, just for the survivability. With the exception of lightning damage and arcane damage, this takes care of all of your needs throughout the Rift, as long as it's dense, and pretty much you're looking for a dense Rift, right? So this is like a guaranteed, defense, all right? Huge. Especially if you can see, it says that it is increased this, all these resistances. It's increased the more pickup radius you have. All right, so you definitely want to stack pickup radius, because this is going to be affected. Unlike this, for example, this is not affected by pickup radius. But the unorthodox thing, I think, is that I didn't go with Grave Injustice. This is my favorite passive of all time, and I had to forego it because it's barely being activated. The only time, that it's activated is when the Ring of Fire is pretty much happening, or when like a whole, set of mobs is getting killed at the same time. But that's not helping me whatsoever. Okay? By the time, like, because to get mobs to even die is hard. So that's why I opted to go with Pierce Veil. Now, if you, I don't know, are way stronger, have better gear, better Paragon, you have a better shard in your weapon, which I'm going to talk about in a second as well, then you can go with Grave Injustice. So I would highly recommend actually going with Grave Injustice, but I was just lacking the damage, so I needed to go with an extra just 20% damage somewhere. And I had to choose this because pretty much these were mandatory when it comes to damage. So there's that. Did we go over all of this? Yes, we did. Okay. Now, really quickly, let's go over Enchantress. I have this as her skills. This is just for, again, this. I wish that I didn't even select this when I started the season. I keep always forgetting, because you would probably prefer not to have any skill assigned for this section. But if you have to, go with this one. It slows down enemies, which is good if you're using trapped and stuff, but it slows them down to the point where they don't even want to follow you if that's what you want them to do. Next, I went for cooldowns, and that is because this 10% damage bonus, which it is a damage bonus, actually gets thrown into the same category as Mask of Jerem, and because it is elemental damage. So this poison damage roll gets lumped in with 200%, okay? It won't show you on the sheet because, let's see, where's my poison damage? I have 25, right? I get 5 from the altar and 20 from here. This gets, stacked in with 200, so you have a 225% increase, right? That 10% would have been 235. So the increase is actually getting marginally smaller every time because of this, what's it called? Because of Mask of Jerem, that it gets put into the same category. So I didn't need the elemental damage. I preferred cooldown. Then definitely ranged damage reduction and armor. Now I know I was wearing Eye of Etlich, but guess what? I still rather have this than this, and I don't even know where this is. There's a cooldown on it. But you know what? Technically, now that I think about it, because I was wearing Eye of Etlich, I should have went with Erosion. So let me take that back. But for you guys, if you guys don't wear Eye of Etlich, definitely go with this, okay? That's a no-brainer. And then if I didn't care too much, I would have definitely went with Focused Mind for attack speed, because attack speed is king. But I wanted somewhat of a safe haven, just in case, I was so close to having a Ring of Fire spawn, but I, died, right? But besides that, let's see. I went with Thunder Fury. This is my favorite effect, you would say, because it slows down enemies' attack speed. Okay, not only their movement speed, but their literally their animations for attacking is slowed down, which is perfect. And I gave her a Remnant of Pain, just a random gem, but as you can see, it has an attack speed roll on it, which is huge. And then what else? Oculus, obviously mandatory. Don't worry about the gems inside there. Ring of Royal Grandeur, so that I could get her to, have the Canes bonus. Also, attack speed cooldown, attack speed. You get attack speed from Canes. I have cooldown on Vigilante Belt, but you can always go with Witching Hour for attack speed instead. Attack speed and cooldown. Gloves of Worship, this is a requirement for your shrines to last long. Homing pads, cooldown, not a requirement, but if you want to do some shenanigans with, let's say you found a power on floor 1 and you wanted to come back to it, and you were, I don't know, on floor 4, and you didn't want to walk all the way back, you could always, teleport back to town. Obviously, you would lose your shrine buffs and stuff like that, but, for shenanigans like that, you should go with homing pads. Talrasha's armor, strictly for the attack speed. Again, attack speed everywhere I can. Dario's Visage, why? The attack speed. And then I have a Sliver of Terror just for that 1059 intelligence. That's pretty much the only reason for that. Flavor of Time, a requirement. Attack speed and cooldown. Nemesis Bracers, a requirement. It doesn't matter about the stats really. But you do want to have 25,000 intelligence so that all of her skills are maxed out when it comes to percentages and time-wise and all that stuff.
Return to my slumber?
Right? So yeah. Now let's take a look. So kind of in depth here, right? Let's talk about this. So you want to, I would say, get at least 100% area damage, all right? And you want attack speed literally wherever you can get it, all right? Ideally, you have golden trios for your jewelry, meaning you have perfect triple rolls of attack speed, crit, even on your amulet. So for example, I would have loved to use attack speed, crit. I would have loved to have attack speed and crit hit damage and crit hit chance, but I didn't. I couldn't find another better Wailing Host, and it kind of really sucks, to be honest with you. But you definitely want attack speed over, for example, crit hit chance, like if you can. All right, it's weird to say that, but yes, you do. Same thing here. I chose to go attack speed instead of crit hit damage. I couldn't find a better one either, you know. But I would go with, yeah, attack speed, crit if you can. But attack speed is definitely king. Now the amulet is an exception when it comes to the attack speed because 10% crit chance and 100% crit damage I think outweighs 7% attack speed. The crit chance, you might actually have an argument for it, but the crit damage, this is the highest crit damage roll on any piece of gear, so you pretty much need to go with crit damage on an amulet. And the crit chance, depending on how much you already have, I think is also going to be a must on the amulet, right? So if you have a regular amulet, it's perfectly fine. But the rings you would want to have attack speed and then, if possible, crit. All right. But also, just if you read the Legacy of Nightmare set, it actually is different than the Legacy of Dreams set, or the Legacy of Dreams gem. Because Legacy of Dreams gem actually at least gives you a regular bonus of 375, okay, for a regular piece of equipment. And then that gets doubled if it's ancient or primal, right? But Legacy of Nightmare doesn't give you any bonus. 0 bonus for having a regular item. So you must have ancient items everywhere, all across the board. Which is unfortunate because I have plenty of beautifully rolled Wailing Hosts. Whoops. Like this one. I could have gotten this one. That's great. Actually, I don't have a gazillion. But I do have a lot of Litany of the Undaunteds that are very nice. Let's see. Do we have one? Oh, I guess not really. What the heck? This is my only triple roll. And it's not a great roll either. Okay, I guess I lied. I could have possibly worn this, actually, to be honest with you, to have crit damage and just lose the 6% crit chance and the area damage, but it is what it is. I chose this one instead. But yeah, here, again, I wish I had better ones. I wish my attack speed was 7. Now, it is very important to have max rolls on attack speed because darts does have breakpoints. And guess what? I'm missing the breakpoint by just a smidge. And the only way to not miss a breakpoint, okay, meaning you are always ahead of the game, ahead of the correct breakpoint, is if you have perfect rolls. So as you see, I have 7, 7, and 6. And this 6 screwed me over. And this is also 7, by the way. See? Witching Hour. also a 7. And the weapon, also a 7. By the way, the weapon's attack speed is the most important out of all of your gear pieces. And your gems, your shards here, the Drugs of Lies and the Sliver of Terror, those are also the most important. And as you can see, I don't even have attack speed on my Drugs of Lies. Yes, that is correct. I have attempted to find so many attack speed rolls, not a single attack speed roll. Couldn't do it. Isn't that amazing? So I had to opt for the regular one, the one that I used for all the other builds that had pets, and that was the 10% crit chance roll that I found in the beginning of the season. After that, I have never found an attack speed roll on Drugs of Lies. Besides, I think one, but it didn't roll the correct. It didn't roll the correct rank 3. You know, so I couldn't use it. Unfortunate, but yeah, here's where you get your life per hit from, by the way, which is amazing, and it's good for your leeching beasts. Without this life per hit, they would be barely healing you. But you would want to have an attack speed roll as your rank 2. So by the way, let me just show you all these rank 2s, right? Do you see how it gives you like cold percent damage, lightning, fire, holy, fire, lightning, fire, lightning, 12% damage, 11% damage, lightning, poison, you know, things like this, physical, arcane, right? That stuff. Yeah, you want that roll to be an attack speed roll and as high as you can. But I opted out. Well, not I opted. I just never found one. After even having 2.3k Paragon. Like, look at this. 2,300 Paragon. Can't find a an attack speed roll on a Drugs of Lies. Super sad. But you need the each time your pets hit an enemy, the damage is increased by 0.5% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 100 times. I'm sorry. You kind of need that, otherwise, like this gem is kind of pointless at that point. A little bit, you know what I mean? That is your big DPS kind of fluctuator, and I'm pretty sure it's a standalone multiplier as well. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure, yes. And then the Sliver of Terror, actually, the Sliver of Terror is also a must with the Ring of Fire. And as you can see, my beautifully rolled. Now this one is nice, so this one I am proud of. Also got it early on in the season. It has the rank 2 gives me 19% melee damage reduction. Melee attacks, right, reduced by 19%. That is huge. And I'm actually, I'm getting really nice here. I have an Eye of Etlich, which has range damage reduction, and this one gives me melee damage reduction. Okay, this is kind of huge.
These organs are becoming so small.
So yeah, I am not in the best position here actually. I don't have 7% attack speed on my gloves, and they didn't even roll that great to begin with. They're not great. I wish if you guys can get your hands on a quad roll, which I can show you an example of, you should definitely go for that. Look at this quad roll. So if you had something like this, okay, attack speed, crit, and then you could roll off the 4th stat, aka your intelligence or whatever, to area damage, ooh, that would be amazing. That is the, the golden quad gloves, You have the golden trios for jewelry, but then you have the golden quad man glove rolls. This would be a perfect roll if you could find stone gauntlets with that roll, right? Because Tasker and Theo, by the way, it's a good thing that I kind of moused over these guys to show you. But do you see how it says increase attack speed of your pets by 50%? Yeah, that only applies to their physical hitting. So the fetishes that are hitting with their, daggers, and your dogs, your leeching beasts that are attacking physically, yeah, those get increased. But your dart shooting fetishes, the ones that shoot darts, they literally copy the attack speed that you have, right? Because they have to shoot when you shoot. So they don't shoot just by themselves. They shoot only when you shoot. But if you could get the rolls to be this, then that would be awesome if you could get area damage on here. But besides that, I had to take area damage here. And then you also need to take Fetish Army damage here. Same thing here. You need to take Fetish Army damage. Guess what? On your belt, you need to take Poison Dart. And on your pants, you need to take Poison Dart. Then on your Mojo, you can take either Poison Dart or Fetish Army. Either or, but they both stack. So not only does Fetish Army damage, increase your Fetish Sycophant damage, but because you guys are shooting darts, this doesn't only apply to your damage, it applies to your pet's damage. And that's why actually we don't care about the fact that Dregs of Lies says you deal 25% less damage. We don't care about that because we don't care about our dart. We care about our fetish's darts, right? Those are the darts that are doing huge damage. I mean, so is ours, but not as much, right? Because ours is physical, theirs is poison. We're stacking poison. They're getting they're getting Mask of Jerem procs or buff, and we are not. Correct? Like, there's so many things that are good for them. So as I mentioned earlier, you don't have that many slots to give, to put, for example, armor or elite damage reduction. It doesn't exist, or there's no possibility unless if you opt out of vitality, which actually I would recommend you doing. If you can find yourself a chest, right, like a body armor, an Aquila, that you can roll Fetish Army damage instead of vitality, and then actually have armor on it or elite damage reduction on it, that would be preferable. Like intelligence, armor, and Fetish Army damage, or intelligence, elite damage reduction, and Fetish Army damage. I would go with that. Legs, same thing. I would actually prefer to have intelligence, armor, and poison dart damage, because armor is hard to come by, and the roll on chest and legs is actually the highest roll that it can have. Boots and shoulders and gloves and all, and helm and whatever, or sorry, not the helm, but all the other pieces besides the helm have a smaller range, right? Boots, as you can see, I should have re-rolled it. I have low armor roll, low intelligence roll. I could have chosen one thing to re-roll and done it, but I never did. But you have to sacrifice a lot of things to get your damage as high as you can. Now, Mojo, this is going to be one of the hardest to roll things, okay? Especially if it's a Shukrani's. And there's no other Mojo that really you can use that's beneficial to you damage-wise, right? You have lots of defensive Mojos, but this is the best one for damage. And it's very hard because the Shukrani's always comes with mana regen. I can show you, like this. I actually have 2 primals already. Just not the ones that I crafted. I literally just got them from gambling, and they both, because, and I was stuck having mana regen on them, unfortunately. So if you're going to get yourself a Shukrani's that has fetish damage or has, for example, area damage, that's what I wanted, then please keep it, okay? If you can re-roll off the mana regen while having beneficial stats everywhere else, definitely keep that Shukrani's and hope that it's a nice roll close to 100%. Mine's not perfect. Mine's a 94% increased damage roll while I'm in Spirit Walk form, but the damage range roll on the top, the 485 to 584, that's very nice. And this was the only one that, kind of matched this theme with Fetish Army. And look at this, Fetish Army rolled on it naturally. 15% to go with that, actually. So I had to re-roll the mana regen into area damage, which actually is very beneficial to us, okay? This is one of the few places that I could get it. So I got area damage here. Obviously nothing here. I have attack speed and crit hit damage. I got a little baby area damage on my ring, which again I would prefer to have crit hit damage instead. but this is where I got it, so I needed, to use it. No area damage here, and this is why I opted out, or I went with these shoulders instead of the Pauldrons of the Skeleton King, because they had area damage. I couldn't find ones with area damage here. So yeah, you pretty much need that. Again, this is going to be the hardest thing to get, I would say. And yeah, for the amulet, again, now can you go with elemental damage here if you could get a roll like that? Sure, just remember that it is going to be kind of like included in the Mask of Jerem bonus. Okay, so it's not going to be as big of a damage boost as like a non-pet build would. Okay, that's why we don't like go with poison damage on the Dregs of Lies, for example. Oh, and I forgot to say, yes, this is where I got the rest of my area damage, because you get 50 from your Paragon, and then you need somewhere else. But you definitely want to have at least 100% area damage, but the more the better, okay? But again, don't sacrifice, like once you hit 100%, don't sacrifice it like just randomly, okay? For like a crit stat or an attack speed roll stat, I wouldn't do that. But until that happens, you need that attack or the area damage on your weapon. It's the biggest roll. Would I prefer to have a trio, like a golden trio roll, without the intelligence instead, or like instead of intelligence having 10% damage? Yes, I would prefer that probably. But I prometified a few already, and I just, like where are they? I prometified this one. I just couldn't get one with the golden trio, so I had to go with this. But where did we end up with all of our kind of not great rolls? We missed the breakpoint of 2.07, which we would have hit if we had this. Whoopsies. Sorry, we need like 2.06 actually, but with this 7% roll, we would have gotten 2.07, which would have passed that just by that 0.01. Trust me, you need perfect sevens everywhere. Okay, which is not great. Now with the shrine buff from hitting your potion, right? You get these random shrine buffs, right? We are getting a little extra, but again, the more the better. Especially from the Dregs of Lies. If you can get an attack speed roll, it double dips, because whatever you get to multiply it by 1.4, which is your original, or sorry, 1.4, which is your original speed that your Dagger of Jars comes with. 1.4 attacks per second. So it's huge. And then since you have 7% attack speed on it, then it would get multiplied by 1.5, which is amazing. It's just incredible. Or sorry, 1.4 if I'm not mistaken. Incredible. Because it puts it on the base of your weapon, all right? Not everywhere else. This is the most important attack speed equipment. So yeah, we're sitting at 37% attack speed. Crit chance. I guess this did benefit us a little bit, because the 10% crit hit chance, without it, if we had the attack speed roll, we would have been at 55. But that's no big deal. This is great anyways. Like I'm missing some crit hit chance here. This is actually perfectly rolled. This is perfectly rolled. Oh yeah, we have no crit hit chance here. And this one's pretty decent. And this one's pretty decent. Missing some crit hit chance there as well. Crit hit damage, not bad. Could have been better because we're missing it here. We have a low roll on the gloves. Also a middle roll on the Witching Hour, which by the way you also need poison dart damage here. I don't know if I mentioned that. A low roll on the ring as well. Oh my goodness! The only good roll crit damage was the amulet. Everything else kind of sucked or was missing. So not great. However, we did hit 125 area damage. Cooldown. This is coming from the Enchantress and then from the gem and from the altar, because I don't have any cooldown rolls anywhere. Poison dart or poison damage, that's from Lakumbas and the altar, but remember it gets convoluted diluted, sorry, with Mask of Jerem. This is all standalone, so this is a standalone multiplier, this is a standalone multiplier, so please, and by the way, it doesn't matter which one you get on your Shukranis, it could be Fetish Army or Poison Dart damage. It does not get diluted with, for example, Depth Diggers or anything like that, okay? The primary skills deal 100% additional damage, that's a separate multiplier, so don't worry about like diminishing returns. You could choose either or for the skill. My armor is super low. But again, I had to opt for all intelligence gems, so all topazes, but I would love my armor to be bigger. If this was if my like original armor was like a 75% damage reduction, like do you see how it says 66.26? If mine was like 75%, I would not need things like stone gauntlets. I would not need things like Horrified Frightening Aspect. I could have opted, which by the way, let's talk about this as well. Instead of Horrify, for example, Frightening Aspect, okay, because you do need sustain, you need this. You need some kind of sustain. You need a grouping spell. You need Soul Harvest. You need it for Lakumbas. You need Jaunt for Shukranis and just to stay alive. So the only one that's kind of up for debate would be Horrify. You could go with, for example, Hex Jinx. Okay, this gives 50% additional damage. And this gets lumped in with things like Pierce the Veil and Shukranis. Alright? But it's there. And it doesn't have a long cooldown, so if you're not running Grave Justice, like I am, right? I opted to not go with Grave Injustice. You're going to have a pretty good time with Hex. What else can you do? Well, your other option, actually, I was thinking about this earlier. You can go with Sacrifice, Provoke the Pack, if you, for example, don't want to use Shukranis and instead want to have, what's it called? Jeez Louise. What am I trying to think here? A Homunculus. If you want your zombie dogs to be summoned all the time, but then again, you're encroaching on this, meaning you're not going to have the sustain, but, if you want to, sacrifice and get that damage buff through there, you can have that, but again, you're sacrificing your healing, actually, at the same time, right? And I don't know why you would necessarily want that, but it'll get up there because you get like somewhat of a similar effect going. But what else would you possibly can use instead of Horrify? You could possibly use. There's nothing here that gives you extra damage. I'm just trying to think like damage reduction wise. You can go with things like Communing with Spirits. I mean, you can. But I think that armor is just too good at this point. At least for me it was. But the obvious choice that people kind of go with would be Big Bad Voodoo. Now in my case, where I was not using Grave Injustice, this is a complete waste. Because a 2-minute cooldown is huge. This is completely a waste because I would only be able to use this like 7 times throughout the Rift maybe. Okay? And like it lasts 20 seconds, barely any time. However, it does give attack speed, and you could either go for the damage one or Ghost Trance, which is even more healing. But the attack speed is always given, so that's great. And in reality, because you're like, it's based on your weapon attack speed, right? So 15% is actually multiplied with, for example, mine would be times 1.5 because I have 1.5 attacks per second. So it does double dip there too, and it is a good option. But I would say if you're gonna go with Big Bad Voodoo, remember you're only gonna have one Big Bad Voodoo for the boss most likely. Well, unless if you do 2, I guess. If you do it right in the very beginning. You could have maybe 2 Big Bad Voodoos up. Yeah, I guess. Because if it's a single target boss, even your Grave Injustice won't proc. But without a Grave Injustice, I wouldn't go with it. Now, if I did go with Grave Injustice, I potentially or sorry, what am I talking about? If I went with Grave Injustice like this, with this guy, I would potentially consider having Big Bad Voodoo, okay, as my other option. And to be honest with you, I probably would go with Slam Dance. Unless you could possibly also go with, excuse me, Jungle Drums. Because the damage, I don't know. This is technically a 50% length increase of attack speed. So I don't know. This might be actually the way to go. Jungle Drums, you know? But yeah. Where else were we? Okay. Let's continue on. So, yeah, that's why I was talking about Horrify, Frightening Aspect, because of this low armor. Okay, but you would probably want, if you can do the thing that I mentioned earlier where you roll armor instead of vitality, or armor instead of vitality on your pants or legs here, okay? Because here you kind of can't. Here you definitely want armor on your boots, by the way, FYI. You definitely want that. But you don't want armor on your helm. The vitality and intelligence is just too high of a roll to give up. And here you don't have that much options. And vitality, I think, is just more beneficial than armor on a shoulder slot. Definitely don't want it on gloves. And I wouldn't necessarily go for, losing intelligence. On your bracers. But yeah, this is just normal. This is all just regular stuff. Missile damage reduction again. I'm getting a huge amount of it from Eye of Atlich. But besides that, you guys would be getting a little bit from your Enchantress and a little bit from your Altar. Melee damage reduction, though, is hard to come by, and I would suggest you do that because this can save you a lot of times from the Rift Guardian, and that's, I think, where the most help comes from. Okay, it's from the Rift Guardian, I think. Also, certain damage types, like Electrified, actually count as melee damage. It's weird, but it does. Even though they're elemental, right? But it still counts as melee, so it actually, you're double dipping on your defense when it comes to missile damage reduction and melee damage reduction. Okay, very important. Or not very important, but very beneficial. Okay, this comes from your Altar. So we were not that great on having a huge life pool, but it doesn't really matter because our Leeching Beasts are gonna be, healing us at the same speed. So having, like, for example, if you went like with a different build, right? So like if you were not going with Legacy of Nightmare, but you had like Manzunugu or something, right? And you wore Guardian set, like, dogs become less effective the higher your health pool is. So your health pool doesn't need to be anything special. I would say around 700 to 800k is good. Like bare minimum. Like I wouldn't go under 700k. Okay. I probably would have wanted like closer to 800, but we're close enough. This comes from where? The Paragon, and that's it. And from our gem, I believe. Yeah. So there's no other life bonuses that we get. Life per second, see? We're close to 60k. So as long as we're standing in place, we get this much life per second. And then life per hit, multiply that by 3 for each dog. And we get pretty good life sustain. Also, if you can, try to get some health pickup. I barely have any because 5 of that comes from my Paragon, and I only have 3 from somewhere else. I don't even know. From the pants. Oh, and from the chest. But the more the better. This helps you picking up health globes, which heal you if you need to. And the Swampland Attunement, and if you're running Grave Injustice, this helps out with that as well. Maximum mana, you don't care about it. Neither do you care about mana regen. We also don't care about mana cost reduction, right? Or cooldown for that matter, really. We just need a little bit of cooldown just to be able to piranhas and Spirit Walk on the poison cycle, which happens every 12 seconds, right? So after this is done, we have 12 seconds of downtime, cold, fire, and physical, and then it, is come back again. So as long as we could Soul Harvest, NATO, and Horrify, but you see all these guys are pretty good. So with NATO, it's a little tricky. As long as maybe you have more than 10%, you should be good. Okay. But yeah, we're not wearing Captain Crimson's. Well, first of all, this is a Legacy of Nightmare set, so yep, that's why we don't care about this. Movement speed, obviously max it out in your Paragon, but everything else I would go with this. If you need extra life, don't forget, you could have Vitality from here, right? Which is nice. And yeah, there you have it. So, what do you guys think? I think I went over everything. No need for other explanations. I mean, again, let's think about it. Other options. Belts. There's really not much of a better belt. Defensively, there's a bunch of belts that you can wear, right? You could wear Belt of Transcendence, which every time you click Piranhas, it will spawn a fetish, right? Which is not a lot of them, actually, so that's kind of a waste. Unless if you're using Grave Injustice and you're doing some kind of mana spender, like more often. Belt of Transcendence is kind of like a waste. But you could go with things like String of Ears if you want more defense. Insatiable Belt, I wouldn't go with this. We're not using Locust Swarm or anything, so you don't need this. Yeah, the belts are kind of... Witching Hour is the way to go. Any other options? There's no really good chests either. Cinder Coat gives fire damage, so that doesn't help us. There's no other beneficial one. I guess, you know what? You could potentially literally rock Tal Rasha's if you had a nice ancient one. But I don't think that you could survive without the 50% damage reduction. But if you can, attack speed is the way to go. Remember, attack speed is king. What's it called? Shoulders? You literally could go with anything. Because your mercenaries should, or not mercenary, your followers should already be wearing homing pads. So you could go with any shoulders that you can find, that as long as they have a good roll. So Spalders, you don't have to repair. Paulders of Skull Sinking, I would say, is the preferred, but that's it. Gloves, again, like, look, Mage Fists don't help. These are fire damage. Tasker and Theos don't help. They do help with your dog attack speed, right? So they will be, healing you faster, but your darts, your damage is not increased here, really. Frost burns, cold damage is not what we do. So really, Stone Gauntlets is the way to go. And they are very beneficial. Yeah. Can I say anything else? No, I don't think so. I think this is it. So anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying Season 36. If you like this build overview, give it a thumbs up, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Lets me and the algorithm know you guys are interested in being part of the community and that you guys like Diablo 2, Diablo 3 stuff. So, yeah. Also in the comments, let me know how your season is going. If you guys have completed a 150, what build you used, if you guys like Witch Doctor, or what else you guys want to see. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the analysis here. By the way, there is no cool way to play this. You pretty much just gather things up, watch your Convention of Elements cycle, which happens right after physical. And remember, I know that your rune is physical, but your fetish damage is going to be poison darts. And so you just wait for that. Make sure all of your skills are at least on cooldown. And right before, when it's this, you want to go into Spirit Walk form. and have piranhas right before. So you want to, on physical rotation, you want to put piranhas, make sure everything is on cooldown. So like that, and you spirit walk. Well, I didn't spirit walk now, but you see, you get the point. And everything should be on cooldown because of, I forgot to say this, but because of the Sliver of Terror, right? You actually deal more damage and take less damage by 12.5% for every skill that is on cooldown. So you want things to be on cooldown. This is a good thing for us, okay? So this would be 12.5, 25. So this is a 50% damage increase the more skills we have on cooldown. Okay, very good. So, like I said, make sure you guys are subscribed. I think that's the most important thing. And hit the thumbs up button if you like it. Or, you know what? Also share the video. I realize that in general, there's very few Witch Doctor videos that people make. Because it's not one of the more popular classes. But maybe this can help encourage somebody to make a Witch Doctor build and try it out. Because remember, Legacy of Nightmare can work with anything. You can do any build that has any multipliers with it. Okay, it doesn't have to be darts. However, this is probably the most strong when it comes to the other Legacy of Nightmare variations of builds. But you could go with Spirit Barrage, right? There's Voo's Juicer. Let's talk about that really quickly as well. You know, there's Voo's Juicer, which is good. You still put the Barber in the cube. You know, there's still multipliers out there. Technically, the Spider Queen's Grasp, right? This is a huge multiplier for corpse spiders. However, you don't get the web from Eric here. So maybe that's going to be a problem. You could do, you know... What do we have? Oh, yeah, Short Man's Finger. You can have gargantuans and all that stuff. You could do that with this. There's... And gargantuans opens up the possibility for Ring of Emptiness and Locust Swarm and Haunt, right? There's a whole bunch of variations they could do for LON. But you need all primals, or sorry, all ancients. And so, you know, if you guys like this variation, you could share the video. But it'll encourage people to just try random things. You know, I was even considering trying, instead of Dregs of Lies, I was considering trying this Remnant of Pain. Because if we read it, it gives you more attack speed. It technically is a nice thing. With the, you know, downside of having less crit hit chance. But our crit hit chance is pretty good, you know. So I don't know. I was even considering doing that. You know, just to play around with it. So I encourage you guys to do that. Share the video so other people can see it. They get excited, and you know how it is. It's like a, you know, it's like a snowball effect, right? So share the video if you guys can. I hope you guys are doing well in season 36. Thanks again for watching. Give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see everybody in the next one. So take it easy, YouTube. Peace out, everybody. Adios, amigos. Bye bye.